Long before cities, long before metal, long before recorded history, humans lived in a world where survival meant sharing the land with giants. The Ice Age was not only a frozen wilderness of glaciers and endless wind. It was a living world filled with enormous animals, many far stronger and faster than the fragile human body. On the open plains, across frozen valleys, and along ancient river corridors, early humans walked among creatures that could end a life in seconds. And among the most dangerous of them all were three massive animals that ruled the Ice Age landscape: the cave lion, the woolly rhinoceros, and the towering woolly mammoth. Each one presented a different kind of threat. Each forced humans to adapt, to think, and sometimes to fight for survival. One of the most feared predators of the Ice Age was the cave lion. Larger than modern African lions and built for the cold steppe, cave lions were powerful hunters that roamed across Europe and northern Asia. These cats could reach lengths of more than 11 feet from nose to tail, with long muscular limbs built for speed and explosive attacks. Unlike modern lions that often hunt in open savannas, cave lions thrived in vast Ice Age grasslands, where herds of reindeer, horses, and bison moved across the frozen terrain. But humans were part of that world too. Archaeological evidence suggests cave lions and humans often shared the same territories, sometimes even the same cave systems for shelter. When a hungry predator encountered a small group of humans traveling across the plains, the encounter could quickly turn deadly. A stalking cave lion would move silently through tall steppe grass, watching carefully for weakness or distraction. For early hunters carrying only stone-tipped spears, a sudden charge from such a predator could mean instant disaster. A single swipe of its claws could knock a person to the ground, and its jaws were powerful enough to crush bone. Yet humans were not helpless prey. Groups learned to move together, keeping watch across open landscapes and reacting quickly when danger appeared. Spears could be raised, fire could be used to frighten predators, and coordinated attacks could drive the animal away. In some desperate moments, hunters may have even fought back directly, surrounding the predator with multiple spears to defend their group. The Ice Age demanded constant awareness, and survival often depended on cooperation and quick thinking. But predators were only one type of danger. Some of the greatest threats came from animals that were not hunting humans at all. The woolly rhinoceros was one of the most formidable herbivores of the Ice Age. Covered in thick fur and equipped with enormous forward-curving horns, these massive animals were built like armored tanks of the frozen steppe. Adult woolly rhinoceroses could weigh more than 3 tons and were known for their extremely aggressive temperament. Unlike many grazing animals that flee from danger, woolly rhinos were notorious for standing their ground and charging anything that approached too closely. For humans traveling across the tundra plains, a sudden encounter with a defensive rhino could be catastrophic. The animal's powerful legs could launch it forward in a violent charge, lowering its massive horn like a living spear. A single impact could throw a human several feet through the air. Early hunters likely avoided these animals whenever possible, but the landscape of the Ice Age often forced dangerous encounters. Narrow river crossings, hunting grounds, or shared water sources could bring humans face to face with these unpredictable giants. Survival in these moments required caution and distance. Hunters learned to read animal behavior, to move quietly along the edges of herds, and to retreat quickly if a rhino showed signs of aggression. Sometimes survival meant simply knowing when not to fight, but there was one animal that stood above all others in both size and importance to human survival: the woolly mammoth. These towering relatives of modern elephants dominated the Ice Age plains for hundreds of thousands of years. Standing up to 14 feet tall at the shoulder and weighing as much as 6 tons, mammoths were among the largest land animals humans had ever encountered. At first glance, they might appear slow and gentle, but mammoths were incredibly powerful and fiercely protective of their herds. A defensive mammoth could swing its enormous tusks or crush an attacker beneath its massive weight. For early humans, hunting such an animal was extraordinarily dangerous. Yet mammoths were also one of the greatest sources of survival resources in the Ice Age. A single successful hunt could provide thousands of pounds of meat, thick hides for shelter, bones for tools, and structures, and fat that could sustain a group through brutal winters. Because of this, humans developed strategies to hunt these giants carefully. Groups of hunters worked together to drive mammoths toward natural traps such as steep ravines, icy riverbanks, or deep snow, where the animal's movement became limited. Spears and coordinated attacks could then be used to weaken the animal while minimizing risk to the hunters. Even with planning, these hunts were incredibly dangerous. One mistake could mean death beneath the feet of a panicked mammoth. But over thousands of years, humans refined these strategies and learned to survive in a world dominated by megafauna. The Ice Age was not simply a battle between humans and animals. It was a constant negotiation between intelligence and strength, between fragile bodies and overwhelming natural forces. Early humans survived not because they were the strongest creatures on the land, but because they adapted faster than anything else around them. They observed, they cooperated, and they turned knowledge into survival. In a frozen world filled with giants, it was not size or claws that ultimately determined survival. It was the human ability to learn, to plan, and to face even the most dangerous creatures of the Ice Age with strategy instead of fear.